been reading about quantum particles. And so in this particular case, the centurion had a worker who was sick. Jesus didn't even go near him, but he healed him from a distance. What I read was something about quantum entanglement. It's where two particles are quantum entangled. If you move one or ping it over here, the one rings over here. And it doesn't matter the distance between them. So if one was on Earth and one was on the moon, you ping the one on the Earth, the one on the moon rings. And it just reminded me of when I read that, when he said, the centurion said, well, just say the word and my servant will be healed. There's a strange connection between this quantum stuff and what we read in the scriptures. So,
that's what the Lord said in the beginning. That's why he said that. He said, in the end, it will be discovered that God is God and the spirit realm rules over the natural.
Yeah.
He's saying there's a connection and you're going to find out.
Yeah.
And the scientists aren't going to be able to deny it. The spirit realm rules the natural. And that's what he's trying to teach us through this power and faith teaching, is that the spirit rules over the natural. So, and we're actually going to do a teaching on the spirit controls the natural next week. But this is the beginning to it, to understand power and faith together.
And I think don't get distracted by the natural. The quantum physics and the AI and all that stuff, it's all really a study of what God's already done and where he's already been. The stuff that they're doing is all still hardware. It can be unplugged. And that's it. So don't get carried away with, believing that.
Thinking you have to understand everything.
Yeah, you don't.
Faith doesn't need to understand, it just believes.
Yep.
Understanding comes later.
But it is nevertheless interesting.
It is interesting. And if any of you do understand, feel free to enlighten us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So some examples of what it looks like, what this looks like, what the Lord wants us to see. So, for example, a prophet will hear something like, you need to do this. And then you do it according to what the prophet has spoken, because the prophet hears from God, speaks those words, you act, and a change is effectuated. So, for example, 2 Kings 5, 1-19, this is a great one.
Yeah, I love this.
It says, now Naaman was commander of the army of the king of Aram. He was a great man in the sight of his master and highly regarded, because through him the Lord had given victory to Aram. He was a valiant soldier, but he had leprosy. Now bands of raiders from Aram had gone out and taken captive a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, if only my master would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy. So Naaman went to his master and told him what the girl from Israel had said. Well, by all means go, the king of Aram replied. I will send a letter to the king of Israel. So Naaman left, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. The letter that he took to the king of Israel read, with this letter I am sending my servant Naaman to you, so you may cure him of his leprosy. That's great. As soon as the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his robes and said, am I God? Can I kill and bring back to life? Why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of his leprosy? See how he's trying to pick a quarrel with me? I mean, you can imagine, like, what on earth? But when Elisha, who's a prophet, when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his robes, he sent him this message. Why have you torn your robes? Have the man come to me, and he'll know that there's a prophet in Israel. I'd like to see that boldness on all of us.
Right.
So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. And Elisha sent a messenger to say to him, "Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleansed." Look at this. Elisha didn't even talk to him himself. He sent a messenger. He had confidence that if the guy came to him, he'd be healed and know there was a God in Israel, and that he himself didn't even have to speak to him. But Naaman went away angry and said, "I thought he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, wave his hand over the spot and cure me of my leprosy. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed?" So he turned and went off in a rage. My gosh, well, how insulting, right?
Yeah.
Naaman's servants went to him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, wouldn't you have done it? How much more then when he tells you, 'Wash and be cleansed'?" So he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times as the man of God had told him. And his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. Then Naaman and all his attendants went back to the man of God. And he stood before him and said, "Well, now I know there is no God in all the world except in Israel. So please accept a gift from your servant." And the prophet answered, "As surely as the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept a thing." And even though Naaman urged him, he refused. "If you will not," said Naaman, "please let me, your servant, be given as much earth as a pair of mules can carry. For your servant will never again make burnt offerings and sacrifices to any other god but the Lord. But may the Lord forgive your servant for this one thing. When my master enters the temple of Rimmon to bow down, and he is leaning on my arm, and I have to bow there also, when I bow down in the temple of Rimmon, may the Lord forgive your servant for this." "Go in peace," Elisha said. So not only did Elisha send the word that healed Naaman, but he also used his authority to declare that Naaman was forgiven when he bowed in the temple of Rimmon. Elisha said, "Go in peace." It was an authoritative declaration that carried power. That's incredible.
It is. It's just amazing. This whole account is like, prophet's job is to follow the Lord. Well, the Lord wasn't going to the door when Naaman came to it. And, the Lord knew he would be offended. And it's the whole story, and that offense turned into great praise for for God and the prophet who sent him, because he was so offended, and then he finally did, "Oh, right, I'll just do it."
Mm-hmm.
And he was healed. The whole story has the Spirit of God woven through it. Like, I don't know. I was just, and the boldness of Elisha is commendable too.
Right. And it's what it looks like, what the Lord is saying. This is what it looks like when power and faith are combined. Mm-hmm. There's several ways that Elisha used the power and faith, as we said, for the healing, but also for the declaration of forgiveness. And change is effectuated. So the Lord wants us to focus on, when you use your faith and your power, there will be a change that is effectuated. So another example, I had been volunteering at an abortion clinic to stand outside and try to talk to people that were going in and dissuade them and show them a better option than killing their children. And it's a pretty awful place to be, quite honestly. Nobody likes you. And they're, sometimes they're very, very mean or violent or whatever. So I had done that for, I don't know how long, years or whatever. And then the Lord gave me this idea to do a prayer walk around the clinic and blow the trumpet at the end, sort of like when the walls of Jericho fell. And so I somehow convinced some other people to come along, and somebody that knew how to blow a trumpet to come along. And we marched around this thing, and I don't know what I said, whatever. This was a long time ago. And then the person with the trumpet blew the trumpet, and we're like, okay, well, do you know, within a year that thing closed? And that was like impossible. I mean, that was impossible. It was open for years, and it closed within a year after that. And I know change was effectuated.
Welcome to Destiny Road, where we're committed to making a real difference in the fight against human trafficking. We proudly partner with organizations that rescue survivors and provide them with dignified employment opportunities, and also support these brave individuals on their journey to healing.
Our curated collection features crafted items from around the world. Handmade jewelry, leather purses, bags, coffee and tea. We also offer books by authors Tiffany and Kirk. You can find their books through Amazon by searching for Tiffany Root.
Thank you for joining us in this important mission. Visit us online at destinyroadstore.com.